Hey everybody, welcome back to Monday Marriage Moment. I'm Jason, this is my wife Renee, and we have been walking through this little book, Your Time-Starved Marriage. Really good book. Today we're going to talk about busyness and how it can really affect your marriage. Where do we start with busyness?
I think we need to start where they start in this chapter of saying that there are two marriage killers. I think it's really important when you're in a marriage, and if your marriage is your most valuable possession, you need to know what you're up against. Like, what is it that's going to hurt your marriage? And two main things that they're identifying are overcommitment and exhaustion. Which is something that I see, I think, in a lot of people, and we have experienced it too. We've had to learn the hard way, raising 4 kids, being in ministry. I'm a teacher. It's really easy, I think, to let yourself get overcommitted and then just live on exhaustion.
Yeah, so true.
So he makes a statement at the beginning of this chapter that says, everyone is busy. I mean, that's just true. Everyone is busy. I think there are busier seasons in your life.
Sure.
But everyone is busy. We can kind of agree on that. And he wants us to consider, what are we busy doing?
I love that question. Everybody's busy, but what are you busy doing? When you kind of look at the activities in your life, how important are those in the big scheme of things? And how does each one of those affect your marriage? Because either directly or indirectly, everything you choose to say yes to outside of your marriage affects your marriage.
Yeah.
So what are you busy doing? Great question.
Yeah, and maybe it's a good thing. I thought about, after I read this chapter, just considering looking over my week or maybe my month and see, what am I busy doing? How much time am I spending with you and with our family and at church, doing things for other people, and just for me, selfish things that I that I like to do. You know, if that's way out of balance, I need to look at that and make some decisions, especially if it's hurting our marriage.
Right.
So
there's some big consequences for just choosing a busy life, choosing to cram your schedule with so much stuff. Obviously personal consequences, but specifically to marriage.
yeah, so he lists several, and we're going to go through those, and then we're going to look at how we can battle that,
Okay.
what we can do against it. So the first one, of course, this is obvious, it hurts your conversation. When you get so busy and overcommitted, even if it's just one of you, you don't have time for meaningful conversation. It
Right.
talked about, like, especially families with young kids still at home and really busy lives. They've chosen to do lots of different things. Their conversation is only about the logistics of what everybody needs to do.
Yeah, he called it being an air traffic controller.
Yeah.
It's just talking about Susie has to be here at 10 and you have to be there at 4 and then we have to pick up Johnny at 8. It's just logistical scheduling conversations.
Yeah, and when they did some studies, they found that even happy marriages, spouses are spending less than 3 minutes in meaningful conversation a day. When you really think about that, that's not good.
It's not much compared to everything else you do all day.
Yeah, so just to consider that and understand that that's something that you have to be careful that's going to happen if you allow yourself to be so busy. Another thing, and I think this is a really big one, it depletes your love life. And I think we've seen that in our past,
Sure.
Especially if you go through a crisis and something has happened, it hurts your love life, and you don't want to hurt the love life.
Right.
It's important. It talked about that the quality of your love life increases in direct proportion to the amount of time you have to relax. So he talked about, you go on a vacation, you automatically, if you're having some extra time to relax and just have fun, your love life is going to be increased.
Right.
And so it's kind of the same concept. So they both talked about that you want to try to seek resting and recreation regularly. Like, it needs to be added into your schedule. If you're not doing that at all, if you're not finding any time for that throughout the week or the month on a regular basis,
Wow.
you might need to rethink some of your commitments. if you don't have
That's good.
time to relax.
So schedule it in
Scheduling in.
so it doesn't get overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
So another way that it hurts your marriage is it steals your fun.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was interesting. He gave a quote from a really famous author that love must rest on trust and honesty and plain old fun.
Which is, they talk about, that's why you dated in the first place,
Right.
because you had fun together.
Mm-hmm.
It was just fun. And when you schedule your life so full of junk, you don't have a lot of fun.
Yeah, the fun.
And that might be something you need to plan into your
Right.
schedule as well.
Right. And I was thinking about that, like for me, it's hard. I have to work at doing fun things. It's just my personality. So I have to work hard on that. Some of us have a better personality towards
Well,
fun.
and probably every couple is like this, that the husband thinks one thing is fun and the wife
Yeah,
doesn't.
that's
and
true.
You have to figure it out. What is a thing, maybe the thing that you do together that you both find to be fun.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yep. And then this is interesting. It erodes your soul. Busyness erodes your soul.
I relate to that one. That when things are hectic and busy and I don't have time to unplug, I feel that one. Just
Yeah.
totally drained emotionally, spiritually.
And this is a scary one, I think, for me, because they talked about that you start to feel spiritually bankrupt. And I can see this with families that maybe, you've gotten so busy and you've committed yourself so much that on the weekends you don't feel like being part of church or home group
Yep.
or anything to do with God. That's like a leftover thing. And then you start to feel this emptiness. It starts to settle in, and that's really hard on a marriage,
Yep.
a Christian marriage.
Right.
And so it takes away the inspiration. You have to have inspiration and purpose that's bigger than both of you, or that emptiness that settles into you, and that's not a good place to be.
Right.
So
let's talk about how to battle busyness. What do we do to eliminate some of that from our lives?
Yeah.
It's not as difficult as you might
it's
think.
not. It's choices
Kinda
that you
common
make.
sense.
Yeah.
It's all about your choices.
Yeah, and I think in our culture, as I've grown up and had these 50 years, almost 51, I think our culture has become a real hurried culture.
And it's almost like a braggy thing to have a full schedule. It's like this
Yeah.
status symbol that, every hour of my day is spoken for. That's not really something to be too proud of.
No, it's actually really hard on you, especially if you're in a marriage.
And it's an indication of you don't know how to say no to people.
Right, there's no balance.
Right.
So this first part of battling busyness for a marriage is really simple and kind of an obvious thing, but I think it's hard for some people. And it is just to slow down.
Slow down.
They gave a funny quote of one of the famous comedians that I love, Lily Tomlin, from a long time ago, that for fast-acting relief, try slowing down. That's
Okay.
so, it's funny for us to say that, and it seems lighthearted, but some
It's true.
people really have a hard time slowing down.
Yep.
And so this next part kind of goes with slowing down. It's really interesting. It's saying it in some big terms, but it's really easy to understand when you understand what it is. That you need to examine your secondary gains.
Secondary gains. What's that?
Yeah, so that's kind of weird and it doesn't make any sense, but it means most people think that when we're busy, we're being productive, that that's what it should be. But some people take it another step further and they're just running in high gear all the time. And it's an avoidance thing because keeping really busy keeps me from reflecting on a deeper issue that maybe I'm needing to deal with, or keeps me from having thoughts and feelings and emotions and dealing with those thoughts and feelings and emotions. It's a way of avoiding.
It's a way of distracting yourself so you don't have to deal with something real.
And I see that in people. I think I've seen that in myself, and I want to be careful not to do that. I think that's a really easy thing to do and not realize you're doing it.
Right.
So then, this is interesting, to quit serving leftovers. That this is talking about that I might treat everybody else in my life, everybody at work, everybody at church, in our home group, really well. But at the end of the day, I'm not treating the person that I love
Yep.
and my family the best because I'm only giving them the leftovers.
Pastor Bobby in Roswell used to tell us on staff, and I've tried to tell everybody that has worked for me, that when you get home, the people on the other side of that door are the people that need you the most today. They're the people that need you at your best today. So, in ministry, you spend pretty much every day when you're with people, and you have to be at your best. You have to give them the best that you've got. But it was a good reminder to me that when I walk in the door of my home, more than anyone I've talked to that day, the people inside that house need me at my best, especially you, especially my wife. And it doesn't always happen, but it's a good reminder that don't go home with your leftovers.
Right.
Give your spouse the best you can.
Yeah, because when we're so exhausted and so overcommitted, we are not fully present when we're back home
Yep.
and with the people that we love. So we need to be careful about that. And then here's one that I know we've talked about it, and I know you've talked about it at church too, that we need to learn to say no gracefully.
Say no. No, I won't do that. No, I can't do that. No.
To good things. I have learned I have to say no to good things, and I'm one of those people that likes to please other people. So I have to be really intentional to really look at something, and when I'm making a decision, a big decision, if it's going to hurt our marriage or hurt our family or cause me huge stress, which in turn hurts us,
Right.
then I'm going to say no, even if it's a good thing.
You say no every time you say yes. And this is a concept you have to understand. When you say yes to the volunteer coaching position that takes, let's say, 3 hours a week, then you're saying no with those 3 hours to something that you could do with your spouse. When you say yes to a commitment to serve on a board somewhere that's going to meet once a month for 5 or 6 hours, then you're saying no to your family or to your spouse where you could be spending that 5 or 6 hours. Whatever you say yes to, you're also, without saying it, saying no to something else. Every yes comes with a no. And so you have to realize that and understand who's getting the yes and who's getting the no.
Yeah, that's good. And they said in the book that this is your strongest weapon in your war against busyness.
Absolutely.
To be able to say no.
It's one thing to have a job and a career where you have to show up and you have to do your best and you have to work 40, 50, 60, 80 hours a week. That's one thing. But everything else is a choice. The things you choose to commit to. And when you say no, you are fighting the battle against busyness.
Yeah. As we were reading through this chapter, I just was thinking about, we've learned some of these things the hard way.
Yep.
And thankfully, we figured it out and changed our mindset and changed our behavior. Not perfect. We haven't done everything perfectly, but we learned some of these the hard way, and it hurt. It hurt us and it hurt our family, and we figured it out and changed it. So the authors talked about having a time when they talked to a really special mentor that he was going to take down notes, and he asked him a question of what's the most important thing. I think it was for their ministry, for life and ministry, and not being so busy and overcommitted. And the mentor said, you need to ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life.
Ruthlessly.
So he's writing that down, and he's ready for the next big thing that he's going to tell him. And he got real quiet, the mentor did, and
that was it.
That's it.
That's all you need to know.
That is the key.
Ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life.
And I think us being on this side of an empty nest, and the kids are not, busy, and we're not dealing with those kind of schedules, it's helped us be able to just settle into, we really don't have to be in a hurry all the time. And it sure has made a difference for me.
Sure.
But even people that still have kids at home that are both working and choosing to spend time at church and staying committed to other things, they can still make some decisions that would change this in their home. And I think it would teach our children if we model that too.
So true.
What a great thing to teach
It's true.
for them to leave home with.
Well, I think a good place for all of us to start is to answer the question we asked at the beginning and just to understand we're all busy, but what are you busy doing? It's a good place to start. We are honored that you would sit and spend your evening or whenever you watch this listening to us talk, because we don't have it all figured out. We're certainly not marriage experts, but we do love marriage and we love God's plan for marriage. So we just want to say thank you for taking the time to watch this, and I hope you will figure out what it is you're doing. What are you busy doing? Because it's really important.
Yeah.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.